Bethesda's E3 Press Conference. Okay, so I actually came up with 3 different openers to this video, and I couldn't decide which one I liked the most, so I'm just gonna do all of them, okay? Okay. Wow, Bethesda, if I wanted to watch someone jerk themselves off for that long, I would just go on Omegle. I keep saying I want to keep these E3 press conference recaps short, and thanks to Bethesda, this one will be easy. And finally, wow, Bethesda, Nintendo called, they want their Direct back. Bethesda's E3 press conference. It wasn't really a press conference, and I feel like that last opener really describes it the most, because it was basically a pre-made video that they still showed on stage at a room somewhere for some reason, and there was absolutely no point to it. There was no reason for anyone to come and be present to this thing. They had a guy come out, talk about themselves and how they exist for a little bit. They showed the video, guy comes back out, just says, "We're Bethesda," and that was it. That was it. And that was maybe just over a half hour of video in there, and there wasn't much. And if you didn't watch it, you're not really missing a whole lot. That wasn't to say there weren't bits of good in there, but overall, oh, Bethesda, no. So let's break it down. So they do start off by basically saying, hey, remember all the games that we already released last year and 6 years ago? We're still doing that. And that basically summarizes this entire press conference. So they started off with talking about VR and very briefly showed Fallout 4 VR, which we already knew about, and then showed some gameplay for Doom VR called Doom VFR, which, cool, I would play Doom in VR. That looks awesome. Like, I really liked Doom last year. Now a VR mode would be really cool. It was super brief, and I would love to see an actual demonstration of it, but it was just kind of sizzle reel stuff. Same thing with Fallout 4. And then they quickly moved on to Elder Scrolls Online, reminding everyone that Elder Scrolls Online still exists, and they have an all-new Morrowind expansion coming to it. So now you can, if you didn't play Elder Scrolls Online before, well, now you can play what is arguably the best Elder Scrolls game that we've ever made. And that was super brief. There wasn't really much else to say other than the fact that that's a thing and that's coming. Then they moved on to what they called the Bethesda Creation Club. And this one immediately brought up a lot of contention to everyone there and everyone watching. And this is basically a program from Bethesda where developers internally of Bethesda, along with, they said, a few trusted outside developers and a few trusted top community modders, can create new content for your favorite games, Fallout 4 and Elder Scrolls Skyrim. So you can expect to see new monsters, new armor, new weapons, new quests, and then you buy them with money. It's paid DLC. Not even DLC, paid mods. Because this isn't like full expansion. There's like one weapon, and then you pay actual money to get it. You pay, and you get a certain amount of, they had like a little lightning bolt currency is what they showed. Bethesda bucks. I can only assume is what they're called. You get some Bethesda bucks, and you spend that, and you get that mod. Really? Like just small tiny mods that I see no reason why they release something like that, and then someone sees it and just says, I'll remake the exact same thing, but then release it for free. And people really aren't pleased about it, and I totally get it why. Especially since one of the things that these mods are coming for is the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, which, exciting. Paid mods for Skyrim. That's still a 6-year-old game, and you need to remember that. Like, there's so many mods out there. Really, what new mods could they possibly put into it that could warrant wanting to pay actual money on it? Maybe I'll be totally wrong. Benefit of the doubt, they come up with something crazy cool or crazy unexpected or never even thought of before, and it's worth spending money on. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's what that is. And they were so brief on that. If they showed something that would have been worth spending money on, I think a lot of people would have been like, oh, okay, I totally get it now. I will spend money on that because that is leagues beyond what we see currently with mods. But they didn't do it at all. So seeing that Creation Club was not a great way to start and put a lot of people in a very foul mood for the rest of the Bethesda conference, which thankfully wasn't very long. They moved on to Elder Scrolls Legends. Remember the card game? That came out last year. I haven't played it, and not a whole lot of people have, but they're coming out to phone. They have a phone version coming out next month, and there's a Skyrim expansion coming to it. All right, that's all. Not a whole lot new to really say there. Not really showing what's in the expansion or what new card mechanics or anything is going to be coming from it, other than the fact that it's coming. And then they quickly moved on to more Skyrim stuff. This time was for the Nintendo Switch, which we all knew existed, but for the first time they kind of gave an idea of how it's actually going to work on the Switch. And one of it was you can actually take off the Joy-Cons and use motion control to show the dude moving around and kind of making like a bow and arrow motion to shoot the bow at an enemy. Alright, I mean, sure you can. No one in their right mind's actually going to do that, but that is a possibility. But the other big thing that people really liked is they took the Link Breath of the Wild amiibo and activated it in Skyrim, and a Breath of the Wild treasure chest showed up, and then the Skyrim dude opened it. You know what he got? He got the Breath of the Wild tunic, the pants, and the Master Sword and hair like Link, and everyone's like, oh my god, that's awesome, yeah! And they're right, that does look cool, it sure did. On a 6-year-old game, and you can get those exact same things already for free from mods. Like, okay, cool, it's on a Nintendo thing, it's from an official Nintendo thing, alright, but you can get a Master Sword mod. You can easily get whatever clothing mod to look like Link in Skyrim. So that's, I mean, it was a very, like, surprise thing Amiibos will work on it, but it wasn't such a new grandstanding idea or feature that no one had ever seen that before, because whenever a Skyrim game comes, or any Elder Scrolls thing comes out, the first thing people try to do is mod Zelda stuff into it. It's like, just something that always happens. You just always know it's going to be there. They did move on then to Dishonored 2. And Dishonored 2 was a game I didn't get to play at all. It's one that I just didn't have the time for, so I completely missed on it. But they have an all-new expansion pack coming for it, and it's called The Death of the Outsider. I wish I could tell you more about it, but it was all just CG trailer stuff. And that's going to be a reoccurring thing from here on out. So, I mean, the CG, I wouldn't even say it looked great, it was just existed. It reminded you that what Dishonored is. It's teleporting around and murdering dudes. Or you can be stealth if you want to. Not in that trailer. It was just a whole lot of murdering. But it did set up a lot of cool plot stuff, so if you're really into the story of Dishonored 2, some cool stuff in there. Then they moved on to Quake Champions, which is something they very briefly looked at last year, and they kind of went a little more in depth into it. Not enough. I would have loved to see more. Big things they were talking about was they're doing a Quake Champions World Championship. It's a weird title, at QuakeCon this year, so people can compete and win money. And BJ Blazkowicz is going to be a character in it. And that's all I can really say about that, because again, it was super brief, and yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. Quake Champions is still a thing, arena shooter. I mean, I think it's cool that they're bringing arena shooters back, and they really emphasize trying to make it back into the esports scene. Which would be great, because Quake used to be one of the first esport games out there. Remember Fatality? Spelled with a 1 in there? That was one of the first esport celebrities that I could possibly think of. So it'd be cool if they did, but again, didn't really show anything about the game or maybe want to play it or get excited about it. Is it even out? I don't think it's out. Is it out? What the hell happened? I don't know. Then they moved on to another sequel, which we all pretty much knew was coming, and that's The Evil Within 2. And I would love to tell you more about that game, but that was a solid 3.5-4 minutes of CG trailer. Just a whole lot of pre-rendered cutscene stuff. some really cool creative stuff in there, like a lot of neat visuals, a lot of very surreal horror elements, like a person's hand and all the fingers bending backwards and then just like be forming a hand that way, and the dude getting like grabbed down into like the different worlds, and it was some really cool visual ideas and it was very distinct. And then there was like 15 seconds of gameplay at the end in like really quick montage fashion, so you really couldn't tell what was happening or get a grasp of what's new or what they're changing, other than the fact that there's gameplay. And then it was just CG stuff. And again, it's really hard to get excited about that stuff when all you're showing me is just pre-rendered graphics. I don't care about that. And after Evil Within 2, they had one final game. Yeah, we're already at the end, and that was Wolfenstein-the New Colossus, which is something they also hinted at last year, and they finally showed it off. It does look cool. They're basically taking the same kind of shooter stuff from Wolfenstein. I think they're really expanding on the story elements onto it, which I could be down for, because as Bethesda has proven with both Doom and Wolfenstein, they can still make really good shooters, and a more story-focused one, awesome. So showed BJ Blazkowicz. His wife or girlfriend or whoever that's supposed to be is currently pregnant with twins, and they're expecting soon. He's in a wheelchair for a while, and then he's got some kind of suit where he can give himself like an iron helmet to protect himself, and it's all kind of weird. And then there was a bizarre mix of CG and gameplay in there, because they showed a lot of really cool story cutscenes and very CG stuff, and then it would suddenly cut to an in-engine cutscene where you're just standing there at a diner and a Nazi soldier comes up and orders a strawberry milkshake, and even though it's like a fresh one, he like drinks from it and sounds like it's already empty. And then it would go back to more CG stuff, so it was like a lot of weird back and forth in there. And then, much like Evil Within 2, right at the end, it was just a quick montage of gameplay stuff, and the quick montage of gameplay stuff was cool looking. Like they showed a lot of the dual wielding and jumping around and riding on those giant robot fire-breathing bear things, which I would just play a game about one of those. Robots and machinery and how, Nazis have taken over America, etc. And then at the end, one of the other characters has a cartoon lizard. And I mean like cartoon, like hand-drawn 2D animated cartoon lizard, all different colors, tripping balls, and he picks it up, and like even I don't know how they did that, but that was a very bizarre thing to see, and I don't know why that's in there, but there is a lizard tripping balls. That's all I got for you, and that's it. That's it. Then that was the end of the Bethesda Direct. So it was not good. It wasn't good. It was short, yeah, and I wonder if they had to do that because they were going on so late at night. I don't know, but there's a lot of things here that I really feel like they could have spent their time on. Do actual onstage demonstrations for Fallout 4 or Doom. I mean, even if you can't even do it on stage, just because I could understand that being difficult to set up because of the Vive technology, but then just have extended gameplay demonstrations so we get a really solid idea of what being in VR in these worlds would be like, because very few people have VR, and if you're going to sell them a VR game, you got to show them it. They didn't really, they said Morrowind is showing up in Elder Scrolls Online, but didn't really, I don't feel like they showcased it that well. I don't feel like they spent enough time showing familiar monuments or landmarks from the game to really remind you, like, man, that's Morrowind. I don't feel like that was there. The paid mods is stupid. They didn't show anything. There wasn't anything there, and that was so frustrating about it. But what was good was the just nuggets of gameplay that we got of Wolfenstein 2. That's it. I was going to say Evil Within 2, but that was even shorter than Wolfenstein's. I really couldn't get anything from that, so it just kind of existed. Just a little bit of Wolfenstein 2, like a little bit of that gameplay, that was fine. And then they kind of gave you an idea of how Skyrim is going to run on the Switch, and the answer is, it's Skyrim on the Switch. Who cares? And the one last really positive thing that I do want to say for Bethesda is that everything they showed is releasing this year. That is good. I do like that. Just showing that and the stuff that you can expect soon, rather than announcing something and not have it show up for years and years and years and years down the line, like so many other now notorious games have suffered. So stuff like Elder Scrolls Legends, that expansion is next month. Dishonored 2 expansion is September. Evil Within 2 is October 13th. Wolfenstein is October 27th. So a lot of everything they showed, every single thing is coming out this year. Good. I just wish they showed us any kind of gameplay, anything. And I feel like they focus way too hard on stuff that they've already released. Like, I understand expansions and all that, but did they really have nothing else wholly new to really show us? I mean, yeah, that's just kind of a frustrating thing. I didn't really have expectations going in, but I really didn't think they're going to be relying so much on people's previous hype for games that's already out. And I feel like they did a press conference because their last ones did so well. Like, their ones before this, those were awesome. And I feel like they think they had to do one this year because of that. Like, they're almost obligated at this point. It's like, well, guys, we have to do a press conference every year. Quality be damned. And this year's just wasn't good. There was no reason for an actual press conference. So if you didn't watch it, you didn't miss anything. You can go look at the headlines that came out of it, and you got all the information just from that. You didn't miss anything. So with that, I have a very negative opinion of it, but there were things in there that I do think helped, like everything releasing this year, the Wolfenstein 2 stuff, and Doom VR. So that's about it. So overall grade on Bethesda, a D, because that's what they sucked. But we got more press conferences along the way. Tomorrow is both Ubisoft and Sony. I'll be sure to be streaming my live reactions and stuff during that too, and then I'll be coming back with those videos. So follow me on twitch.tv/ProJared for those. And then Nintendo's press conference, Nintendo's Direct is early Tuesday morning. What did you think of the Bethesda conference, by the way? I'm not crazy about this paid mod thing, right? I wasn't the only one who just thought this whole thing was really worthless. Please let me know. I don't want to be alone on this. It'd be really assuring, but if this did nothing for you, you can go watch the other ones, because there's way more stuff in there that you would actually like. Alright, thank you guys so very much for watching. I will see you again for more E3 stuff coming tomorrow. Bye-bye.